Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to discuss 5 bad habits that could shorten the life of your vehicle. As cars get more expensive and people want to hold on to them longer, it's important to avoid these 5 bad habits if you want to get maximum life out of your vehicle. Also understand at some point every vehicle is going to need some help of some kind. You're not getting a vehicle to 200, 300,000 miles without proper maintenance and some repairs of some kind along the way. So the first bad habit is not changing your oil often enough. Now, in fairness, the car companies are somewhat to blame for this because once upon a time, it was understood oil change every 3,000 miles. It was widely understood 3,000 miles, if you didn't do that, bad things could happen to the engine. But then, along the way, they started saying, okay, you can now change your oil every 5,000. And now, Toyota, for example, recommends oil changes every 10,000 miles on their new vehicles. But one of the biggest causes of oil burning is not changing your oil often enough. And you can make the argument of, oh, well, cars have come a long way. Older cars have problems from time to time. Read your owner's manual, it'll tell you what's best. Yeah, but the thing is, the car companies don't necessarily want you holding on to your vehicle for 10, 15, 20 years because then they don't make as much money. Also, the car engineers say 10,000 mile oil changes, but when the car starts having problems because of it, your car is going to be out of warranty and it's going to be on you to deal with it. With the Highlander, I do the oil changes every 3,000 miles. Toyota says I can do it every 5, and it burns a little bit, about a quart between oil changes, so every 1,000 miles, I check the oil levels. With the truck, they say 10,000 miles. I have a strict policy on doing it every 5,000 miles. And these are just 2 vehicles with a naturally aspirated engine. If you have anything that's turbocharged, it's even more important. In that case, 3,000 miles, no more. Let's say for a minute this 2.4 naturally aspirated engine in the Highlander is actually a 2.0 turbocharged engine pushing an SUV. Well, you have this smaller engine that's getting power from a turbo that's working harder and has more stress on it. Probably not a good idea with dirty oil. But then I personally probably wouldn't buy an engine like that anyways. Like Ford's EcoBoost 3-cylinder that they put in everything, the Escape, the Bronco Sport. I don't know, a 3-cylinder engine in an SUV, I don't know, I'll let someone else take the test run on that one. Mistake number 2, letting your vehicle run out of gas. It's important to remember to try and fill it up at no less than a quarter tank. Now, obviously, if you're short on funds and you got to go to work, you do what you got to do, but if you can avoid it, it's best to do so. For one, anything that should accumulate at the bottom of your fuel tank over time, you don't want your fuel pump sucking it up. Also, the fuel in your tank actually cools and lubricates your fuel pump. Weird as that may sound. So, constantly letting it run out of fuel can actually burn out your fuel pump. Third, failing to service your transmission. Now, this is another one that car manufacturers, Toyota being one of them, says, oh, you never have to service your transmission. It's good for the life of the car. Well, define the life of the car, not servicing your transmission. 120,000 miles? Even on my Highlander, no need to replace ATF under normal driving conditions. See owner's manual. Now, transmission services are manufacturer specific. I've seen some guys with Hondas that say it's best to do it every 30,000 miles with their cars. But with my wife's Mazda, for instance, the dealership said, oh, about 80 to 90,000 miles is when it's good to do it. So it's manufacturer specific. But if your car manufacturer says not to service the transmission, then at that point it's best to not listen, if that makes sense. Also, everybody has different normal driving conditions. I mean, if you tow a lot, if you frequent Highway 50 where the hills don't quit, I mean, everybody has different normal driving conditions. I mean, that's not really something you can make a blanket statement on. So as far as when you should change your transmission fluid, I would run with every 30 to 60,000 miles just to be safe. Just do a drain and refill. Now it's important to remember, doing a drain and refill, you're not going to get all of it, but you're at least going to get enough of it to where it shouldn't be a problem as the car starts to get higher in miles. But what if you actually listen to the idea of never having to service your transmission and you got a higher mileage car that's never had the transmission serviced? Then it might be best to just leave it alone, because the friction in the old fluid is actually what's keeping your transmission from slipping. When you take that old fluid with the friction out and you put in slippery new fluid, it can actually cause your transmission to slip. So if you have a vehicle with over 150,000 miles and it's never had the transmission serviced, then at this point, the best thing to do is to just leave it alone. The fourth bad habit that can shorten the life of your car is neglecting to address issues as they come up. For instance, if you have any kind of warning lights or the vehicle's making any funny noises when you drive, now again, if you got to get to work, the car's running, and it's either fix the car or feed your family, then do what you got to do. But neglecting to fix little problems can still eventually turn into bigger problems. And then finally, neglecting to keep an eye on your engine. If you've never worked on a car and you're interested in learning, then stay tuned, because I'm going to show you how this works. It's the easiest thing you can do. Right here is your engine coolant. Here's the full line, here's the low line. You want your coolant to be nice and full. Right here you have your power steering fluid, and mine could actually stand to be topped off, but with this you have 4 different lines. Your cold minimum, your cold maximum. Then right over here you have your hot minimum and your hot maximum. And that's because power steering fluid actually expands a little bit when it's hot. And right up here on the lid, it even tells you the kind of fluid you should use. In my case, use Dexron type ATF, so basically automatic transmission fluid. But I'm going to go ahead and top this off, and I'll show you what I use. This is the brake fluid, which in my case is just underneath the max line, so that's good. Right here is your engine oil. You just pull the dipstick out, wipe it off, then place it back in, pull it back out, and then minimum, maximum. And this is also how you can tell how fresh the oil is. Mine is kind of like a golden, kind of like a gold yellow. This is actually what you want. Fresh, clean oil. If you pull it out and this oil is black or very dark brown, then the car's probably due for an oil change, or even past due. Then over here is the automatic transmission fluid. And then same thing, my fluid is nice and red here, so it's in pretty good shape. And then automatic transmission fluid also expands when it gets hot, so you have a cold line and then a hot line. But for the most part, you pull it out, as long as it's up to here, you're good. Now also remember, not all cars are equipped with an automatic transmission dipstick, so this isn't doable on every car. But when you can, it's good to do so, and make sure your transmission fluid is fresh. If it's dark brown or black, then it's due for a service or even past due. And hopefully you didn't listen when they said you never have to change your transmission fluid. Then check your battery, make sure it's free of corrosion. Right here is your engine air filter. It just comes undone like so. 2 little tabs holding it in. And then it just slides out, and this one's seen better days. And I happen to have a backup, so we'll just go ahead and change it. And then the new one just slides in, and you secure it. And then also when you do this, check your housing, make sure there's nothing in here that shouldn't be. I just pulled out a few leaves, but once I pulled a piece of tape out of here. Then just close and secure the air filter housing. Just like so. Make sure you slide these back in and secure both your clamps. Very important to slide these back in properly or the clamps on the other side won't latch. And there you go, probably the easiest thing you can do on a car yourself, and you can catch and save so many problems. Also, be sure to keep some extra oil, extra coolant, stuff like that on hand just in case. Alright, so for the power steering fluid, this is what I use. This is Royal Purple Power Steering Fluid, and it says right here, compatible with any OEM hydraulic power steering system. We'll just remove the cap. Set this to the side for now. And then just top off until you get to that cold max line. There we go. And that is 5 mistakes that could be shortening the life of your vehicle and what you can do to help prevent problems. Cut out those 5 habits, your car or truck will thank you. Also, I invite you to come check out Jesus Bible Study. I take passages from the Bible and make them relevant to today's world. Link to today's video will be in the description. And don't forget, new videos every Sunday. Like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I will see you guys next week.